Good afternoon, everyone. Maître La Rochelle, you may continue with your submissions.
Thank you, Your Honor. So when we broke before the lunch, we were talking about the phone calls or the phone activity and the echoes that we had from these phone activity. And one of the echo is found in the evidence of P889 at car OTP 2122, 7626, page 15, line 591 to 604. And that witness said it was inevitable that there would be victims. But even if that happened, even if the Antibalaka had killed some innocent civilians in their fights, they would not tell Mokom. Now, with or without guns, shoes, munitions, gris-gris, Mokom's coordination, these Antibalaka made it to Bangui. They arrived in Bangui. And then, it's not contested, of course, that there was an attack in Bangui on the 5th of December. The prosecution has, and we see it in the evidence, and I will give you a very interesting example, has this obsession with trying to demonstrate that it was coordinated. It's obsessive. And I will show you why sometimes it becomes even excessive. And for that, I would like first for you to take the statement of 884, car OTP 2080, 1678, at page 1702. Hello? This is exculpatory evidence. So what do we have there? From line 817, and I will speak French now. Alors, so the interviewer 2 is asking, what was the result of Mokom or Ngaïsona or Bernard Mokom organizing through them to come to Bangui? Translated as, alors le fait que tous ces groupes viennent à Bangui, c'est le résultat du travail que faisait Maxime Mokom, Ngaïsona,
Slow down, please, slow down.
I'm sorry. Alors, le fait que tous ces groupes viennent à Bangui, c'est le résultat du travail que faisait Maxime Mokom, Ngaïsona, Bernard Mokom, pour que tous ces groupes puissent venir à Bangui? Non, mais... Or did they do that spontaneously? Comme je vous dis, ce sont des choses qui se sont passées spontanément. Personne entendu. Spontanément. Interviewer 1, all to Bangui? And the witness 8847. Mais oui! Oui! And when this was played and used in court, and this is in transcript, car OTP 00001058, at page 16, line 8, 16, line 8 to 16, line 23. The Judge Schmidt sees that. And he says, this is a very interesting technique to suggest the answer in your question. Very interesting. And when you look at page 1 of that interview, you will find that the interviewer, number 2, is Mr. Kweku, preparing on the ground, trying to blow life in this coordination theory that they will hold against all wind. It's not me who sees the dangerous character of asking such questions. It's Judge Schmidt when he saw it. His plan is in the prosecutor's head. This is where it exists. And this plan, or this planification of the attack of Bangui, there are 4 different theories in the evidence about it. 4. 1, it's Maxime Mokom, witness 2232. Maxime Mokom. Car OTP 2100-2569, paragraphs 32 to 38. Then you just saw the evidence of witness 884. It was spontaneous. Then witness 1521 provides more detail and explained that it was those leaders on the ground, those leaders that were behind the hill, that arrived there in successive waves. They are the ones who themselves, amongst themselves, being aware of the reality of the terrain, of where they were, where their elements were, how many men they had, who devised the plan. And for that, I would refer to 1521, is transcripts of 13th November 2021, car OTP 0000909. And I'm referring to extracts found in pages 51 to 56. At page 51, line 19 to 22, witness 1521 says, because before 5th of December, there wasn't a chain of command as such. Everybody had their own elements, and if there were decisions taken, it was by consensus. We discussed and we came up with the idea. Then, at page 52, line 8, question, who decided that the attack should take place on 5th December? Answer, I think at the time there were 50 elements and their leaders. And then he explained that these elements decided together where and how and who would attack for the 5th of December. At page 53, line 9, he mentions who his chief was. I will not mention it here for fear of identity, but you can look at line 9, who the chief of 1521 was. Did he tell you that person who he got his orders from? Answer, no. He did not get orders from anyone because, in my opinion, the commander of the men, he did not get orders. My question was, did he ever tell you where he got his orders or directions from? Not what your opinion is or whether he got them. So I was with this group under his command. I never heard him getting orders from anyone. If I had heard that, I would tell you, but I don't want to lie. And here you have another example of all the ways that the prosecutor is trying to create that plan, to blow life in the plan. So the question here at page 54, line 19. Angelo was not from Bangui. Am I right about that? He was not from Bangui. Isn't that right? Answer. Yeah. He came from the country, we know. Question. So, how did Angelo know where Hotel Ledger was? He's not from Bangui. Maybe we will find here, so he got some phone calls or directions. This coordination that we need. Mr. Prosecutor, that's the answer. I think that the anti-Balaka movement is a popular revolutionary movement. When they were behind the hill, they were supported by everyone, by the population who gave them information. And Angelo, when he went, he was led by people. You see what I mean? He didn't go down on his own. The population of Bangui met with their liberators and walked back with them. They were so happy to see them arrive. There were other people who knew the area, who knew where the Seleka were. And so there were also other elements, other leaders who were familiar with the area, who were from Boirabe, for example, so also knew what was the situation there. And then we need more coordination. Line 13. Well, you didn't decide it behind the hill, because the hill is where you came to, so it was decided before you got to the hill. Isn't that right? Answer. No. No. When will you understand? That's me, that's the witness, sorry. That's not how it was. I said that we all came together behind the hill. Those who came from out of town, from there, those who crossed the Ubangi River were there. Those who had left Bangui and joined the movement in Bangui, they were there too. So together, it was decided, while we were there, that the decision was made. We didn't decide in advance to have this attack. And those had left Bangui, who explained what the situation was, told us where the Seleka people were, where their bases were. They gave indications to those who come from the provinces so that the decision could be taken to proceed with the 5th December attack. And the prosecutor gives up, page 56. And from what you're saying, it sounds to me like you're saying that they all just happened to be there. And then, once they found each other there, they decided to carry out an attack. To be honest, that defies any logic. That only defies the prosecutor's logic. People talk about the December 5th attack. 884, for example, at car OTP 2080, 1678. He explains at line 1417 to 1465, he says, initially, the attack was supposed to take place on the 1st of December, the day of the national holiday. And you know what they say, what he says after that? But they refused to do it because they were fearing that it would cause too many civilian casualties, with all these civilians in the street for the national holiday. So they pushed it back to the 5th. And then he's asked, who was involved in this attack of the 5th? In Boirabe, for example, answer, the whole population. Aboing? Answer, the whole population. Everyone fights. The women are out and participating in the fight. P446 at car OTP 2059 1672. At line 772 to 779. Who decides the sharing of the group? At that point, it's Angelo and Konate with some other responsibles who dispatched the group so that we could do and perform these attacks. P446, again, at car OTP 2059, 1696. That's also found to be exculpatory by the prosecution. Who gave the target? At line 66 to 99. There was a gathering on the eve of the 5th. The targets were given by Angelo and Konate. And also present were Bejuan, Fesona, Mokom, Gaibona, Angelo, and Konate. And at this occasion, these people reminded the Anti-Balaka, the people present, that the Anti-Balaka should not loot, that they should not touch what does not belong to them, because their gris-gris would not work. P446 now, at car OTP 0000934, page 37, line 14 to 38, line 4. The Anti-Balaka behind the hill are joined by the local population. At page 44, line 17 to 22. Even during the attack, people were coming out of their neighbors, of their houses, and joined the attack. And who organized the attack? Page 45, line 15 to 24. We met the night before. We divided the teams. Konate and Angelo spoke and attributed the targets. Konate, you take Kankasai. Bawa, you go to the sapeur-pompier. Angelo, too. P446 again at car OTP 00001117 slash Okay,
not to bring them together because, as
Sure.
you know,
no problem.
they have, yeah?
Yeah.
And we will send a reduction request for the first mention in relation to
Yeah, we will,
876
not
shortly.
oppose it,
That's
of
all.
course.
I'm sorry for the interruption.
Thank you. Well, let's do so.
Excuse me?
If it's fine with you, sir.
Oh,
this is what
I
we'll
don't
do.
mind at all, Your Honor. I don't need the problem. P1719, car OTP 2062-0039, at paragraph 130. Again, reference to a meeting with French troops to plan, this one is interesting, to plan the attack on the 5th of December at 4 p.m. So the plan with the French was that it should take place at 4 p.m. so that they would come in with their night gear equipment and assist the anti-Balaka. And then he goes on to explain after that that Konate did not agree and decided or did not understand. It's not clear. But instead of attacking at 4 p.m., he attacked at 4 a.m. I don't know if it's a failed exercise in coordination or something else, but it speaks volume about the exact coordination that took place regarding the attack of the 5th of December. The attack of Bosangwa, Your Honor, another important crime scene. And here I will ask to move in a closed session for a few minutes.
Let's move into closed session, please.
We're back in open session, Mr. President.
Thank you. Please continue.
Thank you. So there were two leaders for the Bosango attack, Kema and Dangba. Look at what witness P889 has to say about Kema. At car OTP 00001068, page 19 to 22. And you will find this at page 19, line 12 to 22. Kema et son groupe refuses to come to Bangui despite the instructions of Mokom. There is nothing to do. He tries to convince him to help for the other villages and to come to Bangui. He's amongst those who refuse. So on the morning of the 5th of December, Kema is not even where he's supposed to be, if we believe that evidence. And he adds this, witness P889, about Kema at car OTP 2122 7962. At lines 326 and to 328, Kema was a military. He does what he wants. He takes no orders. He is like Yekatom. He doesn't want to be commanded. He is in his corner and he doesn't speak. And he adds this at page 7985 to 7986. Kema refuses to come to Bangui. He wants to stay in his village. He refuses to be coordinated. He refuses to be coordinated. It would be an interesting question if we could attribute crimes to Kema. It would be an interesting question to see if a coordinator can be held liable for the crimes that are committed despite his coordination. But it's not a debate that we can have because we don't have the evidence foundation for that. Back to Bangui. Back to Bangui. I want to say this, that when the anti-Balaka arrived in Bangui, not only did the population that could, a lot of members of the population joined them, as we saw, but the population cheered them. The population was happy. And that's by three different witnesses. P446, car OTP 0000936. Sorry if there's an extra O. It says those are zeros, actually. At page 5, lines 17 to 22. When the anti-Balaka arrived, the population initially cheered them. Unfortunately, after a while, the population turned around against a few Balaka members who were committing crimes.
Mr. Rochelle, try to keep pauses between sentences because we make the work of the reporters too difficult. Thank you.
So compare this, a few Balaka, with what the prosecutor said yesterday, large part. Remember that. A large part versus a few balaka. Witness P884, car OTP 2072, 1773. Line 974 to 975. This is what happened at the beginning of January. When the balaka came in, the population applauded them. And you will see the same thing from P876, car OTP 0000917. Now, what happened? What crimes were committed when, allegedly committed, when the anti-balaka arrived? Need that now. Okay. According to P446, he knows of no crimes. This is a prosecution witness supporting the DCC. This is at car OTP 0000936. And you will look at this person. It's interesting that he's not aware of any crimes. What happens? Who commits crime? 1521 at car OTP 2046 0603. Paragraph 106. The fine people of Bangui, I think, did not have the same respect for the Grigri as those anti-Balaka who had arrived from the province. They were committing crimes and accusing the anti-Balaka after. According to P884, there are crimes committed by prisoners who had escaped the prison and who were taking advantage of the vacuum and power. There were no policemen, no gendarmes, no government. And those prisoners are taking advantage to settle scores. P reference is car OTP 2072-1356. P808 at car OTP 00001105. The witness says, it's not necessary the anti-Balaka who attacked the population. It is also the population. The cases, the instances of theft are systematically attributed to the anti-Balaka despite their obvious goodwill. Everybody knows that the prisons of the Central African Republic had been destroyed, that all the bandits were out free. And this is at page 36, line 10 to 21. And he says this at page 72, lines 13 to 16. We are in car OTP 00001105 here. I think I said it. Page 72, line 13 to 16. On 100 Balaka, a very little number was participating in committing crimes. Not a large part. a small number. This is exculpatory. How can you come before you and say a large part when their own evidence says a small number, a minority, taking advantage? At witness P884, at car OTP 0001058. Very quick closed session, Your Honor, just to be sure not to identify the witness.
Court officer, let's move into closed session.
Prépare les journaux. Prépare les journaux.
We are back in open session, Mr. President.
Thank you. Please continue.
Thank you. That newspaper article, which I just mentioned, supported paragraph 73 of the pre-trial brief of Mr. Ngaisona. This same article support paragraph 4 at line 6, 19 at line 48 and 51, and 28 at line 76 of our own pre-trial brief annex. A newspaper article whose author has denied ever saying that. So you have to read beyond the headlines. Yesterday, the prosecution provided some scrapbooking of newspaper articles. One of them was at 2079 0622. If you go in the same article at car OTP 2079 0636, you find this. I will speak French now because it is in French. Ces miliciens qui se disent invulnérables aux balles grâce à leur protection mystique sont présents dans la quasi-totalité des villages de la zone. Des messages circulent à travers la forêt pour coordonner, des messagers, pardon, circulent à travers la forêt pour coordonner les actions. Des sentinelles guettent les passages. Ndjo, à une centaine de kilomètres au sud de Bossangoa, apparaît comme l'une de leurs principales bases. Leur chef, Benjamin, refuse l'étiquette de rebelle et dit combattre pour protéger les siens. C'est une guerre contre les chrétiens. Ils ont tué nos mamans, nos enfants, alors que nous n'avons jamais attaqué les musulmans. On ne les déteste pas. On ne se bat pas pour Bozizé, mais nous voulons le changement. On déteste Djotodia, déclare froidement ce cultivateur qui revendique 2885 anti-Balaka sous ses ordres. 2886, 2886, rectifie l'un de ses lieutenants. À leur côté, le prochain anti-Balaka prétend avoir perdu ses 2 enfants, son père, sa mère. Pour lui. Ex-rebelles et commerçants musulmans ne font qu'un. Il y a 2 semaines, raconte-t-il, un camion escorté par des membres de la Séléka est venu chercher les musulmans de la ville. 2 jours plus tard, les commerçants sont revenus armés pour piller le marché. Il y a encore 2 jours, ils sont venus pour nous menacer. Un autre article, another article, which was broadcasted yesterday at 2082 0793, and I'm reading from OTP 2082 0800. Ce sont essentiellement des jeunes, entre 17 et 30 ans. Mais l'un d'eux n'avait sans doute pas plus de 14 ans. Ils sont issus des villages autour de Bossangoa. Ils sont armés de fusils artisanaux qu'ils ont visiblement fabriqués eux-mêmes. Faute de réelles munitions, ils taillent eux-mêmes du plomb pour en faire des balles. Un peu plus bas, le chef m'a expliqué que certains souhaitaient le retour de François Bozizé, mais d'autres non. Et qu'ils sont surtout unis par leur volonté de chasser la Séléka de la région. Chaque village, every village has a story like that, with inhabitants, that if you interview them, they will tell you they have no ammunitions, they do them themselves, with whatever they can find. So, if you want to say that Mr. Mokom has supported some people, large parts, small numbers, it's not them. They don't have ammunitions, clearly. And some support Bozizé, some don't. So that's what the prosecutor is drawing before your eyes. That's what he's asking you to confirm. Read beyond the headlines. P884. That's exculpatory by the prosecution. The Christians destroyed the mosque to avenge themselves. The Muslims destroy the churches. there is a lot of confusion on the destruction of mosques. The anti-Balaka burn mosques. The civilians do the same thing. The mosque, and that's at CAR OTP 0001101, page 55, sorry, lines 21 to 25. P884 again. CAR OTP 2072-1773. This is at line 891 to 897. Convoys of Muslims leaving the city being attacked by angry civilians. Not anti-Balaka. They are not involved, he says, in these fights. P446, CAR OTP 2059-1468, lines 649 to 715. What mosques were destroyed? Warabe? Fou? It's the population. Let's talk about the Boeing market. The Boeing market apparently was attacked on the 5th of December. And this is by P884 at CAR OTP 2072-1814. He was there. He saw it, 884, the morning of the 5th in Boeing. What happened at the Boeing market? What is the story? It's interesting because we get the picture. We can see. This is not a satellite image. This is what took place on the ground by someone who saw it. What happened? There are Muslim traders at the Boeing market. Who are they? A lot of them were militaries under Hissène Habré. What did they do in March 2013 when the Seleka took power? You know what they did? They put back their military uniforms and started pointing at FACA soldiers and alleged Bozizé supporters. These people disappeared. Gone. Killed. Not investigated. And we live with these people for the last 20 years. They marry our sisters. And the population was saying in Sango, Lawa, Lawa, Lawa. Lawa, Lawa, Lawa. We'll get back to you. Yeah. They wanted revenge. This is found at CAR OTP 2072-18-1814, page 1824 to 1833. When the Seleka left, it's not the anti-Balaka of Buka who went and attacked these Muslim traders. It's the local population. It's soldiers who were not part of any groups. And he saw after that the local population coming and loot their stores. And what was in the stores? Weapons. They found cache of weapons. And he adds this at line 655 to 661. The Red Cross came and collected the bodies. The Red Cross came and collected the bodies of these poor people that died on that day. Can you attribute any of these victims to Mr. Mokom? No. He has nothing to do with it. And he talks about this at car OTP 0001101, page 48, line 20 to 49, line 2. He reiterates here. The origin of this, it's the denunciations of Faka people, alleged Bozizé. They were arrested, tortured, or disappeared. That's what happened in the market of Boeing on the 5th of December, 2013. You have in the evidence and in our PEXO tables multiple examples of evidence of mosques, shops, houses, civilians participating in hostility. How does the prosecutor deals with that? At box 75 of Annex C1 to the DCC, I quote, "There is no evidence suggesting that the damages or destroyed mosques constituted a legitimate military objective, nor was their destruction justified by military necessity." You cannot stand up and say a thing like that when you read the case file. And at P446, car OTP 0001115, at page 73, line 8 to 77, line 23. P446 describes the same thing, but in Bois-Rabé. Here what he says is that after the Seleka come over, the attitude of some Muslim people changed. They were showing, if they were owing you money and you were trying to collect them, they would show you a gun. So that's the criminality that we're talking about. And then we have spoken at length about this phenomena of the anti-Balaka. The people in Bangui, they noticed that the anti-Balaka, they had these gris-gris. What did they do? Fake gris-gris. Fake anti-Balaka wearing fake gris-gris. How perfect. What a perfect. You wear this. You go. You commit crimes. That's an anti-Balaka. Who looted? Who killed? That's at car OTP 0000911 by witness P1521. And you will find this at page 83, line 25 to 84, line 11. So, this is what's happening in the days following the attack. So, the anti-Balaka are overtaken from under by the fake anti-Balaka, by bandits, by people wearing fake gris-gris, by the population, who took advantage of their arrival and their success to settle scores, loot, kill, and God knows what. But this was not all. These people underneath were not the worst. The worst are those that arrived from top. Bara, Gaïa, Winizwi, Demafut, all this cloud of locusts that came immediately after the Balaka took over and claimed position, took advantage of the vacuum. Witness P808 says this at car OTP 0001103, page 37, lines 12 to 25. Les gens qui voulaient, sorry, the people who wanted to represent the anti-Balaka came from everywhere, from high-level networks, and they took advantage of the fact that there was no coordination in place. If there truly had been a coordination, these locusts, that's not the witness, that's me, would have never been able to take advantage. These people understood that to position themselves on the political scene, you had to present yourself as a representative of the anti-Balaka. P808 at CAR OTP 00001103, page 52, line 19 to page 53, line 15. There were several factions of people claiming to represent the anti-Balaka. There was Gaisona, Kokate, Bara, Namsio, Sylvestre Yaguzu, Gaia. But the three main currents were those of Gaisona, those of Winizwi Aboeng, and that of Bara in the south. Three different coordinations, three different people claiming to represent the anti-Balaka. Then Bara goes in early January to N'Djamena, also claiming to represent the anti-Balaka, to negotiate the fall of Jototia, as I mentioned earlier. And we heard, the guy we heard on TV, Mr. Yaguzu, another one of, I don't know, does he represent the anti-Balaka of the west or the east or where? It's divided in multiple groups, multiple factions. Who controls who? It's confusion and chaos at its highest. P966. And notice, P966. This guy clearly has a grudge against Ngaisona, because for him, and that's at CAR OTP 2031-0241, at paragraph 95 to 99, Ngaisona wanted to use the anti-Balaka movement to take power. But the anti-Balaka from the provinces were refusing that. And P876 at CAR OTP 2046-0295, line 853 to 873, also seems to have a grudge against Gaisona. Because what some witnesses attribute to Mokom as being this extremist constitutionalist who would prefer to fight rather than see the Constitution not respected. This is the evidence of the witnesses. He's an extreme constitutionalist. Well, according to P876, the extreme constitutionalist is Gaisona. He saw himself as president of the Republic. He completely recuperated the movement. He's the first to come after the departure of Jotodia. Yes, sorry. P884, CAR OTP 2072 to 1582. At lines 147 to 174. The group is manipulated by its leaders. The leaders want positions in the government. And he says this. He says, Ngaisona goes to see Catherine Samba Penza alone. He discusses with her, and we for his own interest, and he doesn't tell us, the child, what this is about. What is he doing there? The child, they just want disarmament and demobilization. But politics wanted to recuperate the movement, but the movement did not follow. That's at line 194 to 202. So what did the anti-Balaka get? What was their reward for saving the Central African Republic and for delivering Bangui? A bad name. You would have put them in buses and giving them a lunchbox with food, they would have returned. They just got a bad name. Everybody's taking advantage and tarnishing their name and using them to commit crimes, to get position, to travel. And the prosecutor is forwarding and conveying this story when it is contradicted everywhere in his case file. Where is Mokom? He stays in Zongo until February. You think he runs to Bangui to get a position? He remains in Zongo. The best moment, the coordinator of all of that, at the moment where we could take advantage of all this dirty work that the prosecutor is alleging he has committed, he stays in Zongo, where there is no Western Union counter. So he cannot even receive money for all his trouble. He comes back eventually. And interestingly enough, we hear about what he does when he comes back from 2232. And I don't know what Kool-Aid he drank, Mr. Mokom, when he crossed the Ubangi River. But I only see good things. If you look at P2232 car OTP 0000901, page 39 to 40. Excuse me. It's at car OTP 2100. 2569. Upon his return, Mokom toured the different bases, as the prosecutor said, but to do what? To tell the Comzone, don't loot. Remain calm. You find that also at car OTP 0000901, page 8, line 23 to 10, line 9. Immediately when he arrived after his appointment as coordinator of operations, Mokom does a tour of the bases and tells the Comzone not to create disorder, to remain together, and to wait patiently for the follow-up. Is that the action of somebody with a criminal plan? What does he do next? He creates a military police. There's no state, no police to speak of, no gendarme, no army, and you have all these fake anti-Balaka. What does Mokom do? We will create a military police to deal with that problem. You cannot just... He created a military police. For what? To address the immediate problems that having starved people, thousands of them, that's another thing. How many anti-Balaka? Your guess is as good as mine. How many people was he coordinating in committing crimes? We have no idea. People are exaggerating the figures when they deal with DDR or diminishing them for other purposes. So there's no way of knowing this mass, this unknown mass. So we have, on the first part, an unknown number of people, of which a large part or a minority are creating crimes. Confirm this, please. That's what Mokom does when he returns. And he's appointed as coordinator of operations. And then let's speak about, well, okay, one last about this coordination business. P889. Car OTP 0000942. Page 17, page 79, line 17 to 80, line 4, to 80, line 4. The Anti-Balaka is asked about the structure and the coordination of the Anti-Balaka. He said the Anti-Balaka did not have a structure. Even after Mokom returned, the Anti-Balaka are not structured. These organigrams that you're showing me are not worth the paper on which they are written. And I tried, but I got schizophrenic trying to make a chronology, and I apologize for the members of my team. They can recognize themselves who I tried. I want a chronology of who's who in these courts. They change. You don't know if the documents are true or fake. You don't know whether these people were doing what exactly. They change every other day. I gave up. But anyway, thank God to that witness. Anyway, they're not worth the paper where they are written. One of the things that Mokom did also, let's give him credit, and that's by, again, strangely enough, after drinking his Kool-Aid, witness 2232. At car OTP 0000901, page 36, line 14 to 24. After they attempted to arrest Ngaisona, after it was attempted to arrest Ngaisona in February 2014, the Anti-Balaka were frustrated and wanted to go down on the street. It's Mokom who convinced them not to do it. Stay calm. And they remained in their bases, and there was no trouble in Bangui, at least that day. So, you have a first wave of locusts arriving. You have a second wave of locusts taking the shape of the transition authorities. What do people say about the transition authorities? P876, car OTP 2046 0530, page 2021. Some people had a vested interest in making sure that this carried on. Who wants elections? And each time there were troubles, the president would give them money to calm them. P808 relays the same information. Car OTP 0001108, page 21, lines 16 to 25. The Comzone were often blamed for deeds committed by local non-anti-Balaka. It was also a strategy of the political authorities then to make such accusations to ensure that the transition becomes eternal or perpetual, to perpetuate the transition. P876 offers an interesting insight into the government back then. He says, at this time in Bangui, so we know that there are many fractions or the anti-Balaka, but also there were 4 different governments. There was 1, the official government of Nzapayeke. 2, the government bis at the presidency, composed just of advisors and chargés de mission, these chargés de mission in the ministers. 3, the government in the office of the prime minister. And 4, a government at the Conseil national de transition, à l'Assemblée nationale. That's at CAR OTP 0000921, page 22, line 12 to 23. They were all competing for money. Security is a lucrative business. Maintaining the anti-Balaka in activity was a business. That's what P808 says at CAR OTP 0001103, where he alleges against Ngaisona that he was giving them money to have their leadership. And here, there's no limit to the cynical manipulation that took place on the back of the anti-Balaka. And here I invite you to read the evidence of P876 at CAR OTP 0000921, page 24 to 28. And particularly page 25, line 5 to 18, and page 26, line 10 to 27, line 6. There, the witness says that a certain Alfred Legrand Ngaya were responsible for finding child soldiers. It was a scam. The RCA, at the time, with the blessing of the government and the UNICEF involved, probably not willingly, there's a child soldier scam. Fake child soldiers. Fake child soldiers. Were these child soldiers part of those that supported the initial indictment against Mokom, or different ones? We don't know. Apparently, it's not material. Fake child soldiers. What does Mokom do? He goes to Brazzaville. to negotiate a ceasefire with the Seleka representatives, with all the brass of the Anti-Balaka in July. That's, again, part, I guess, of some criminal plan. Maybe the prosecutor can explain. Incidents. Just a small example again, if we need more. Incidents after the 5th of December. Boda. Apparently, Boda was a trouble spot. P889 at car OTP 2122 7992 about the attacks of Boda. He heard about them. But these anti-Balaka in Boda, no one could control them. Not Mokom, not Ngaisona. No one could control an anti-Balaka of Boda. That's at line 40 to 48. Page 889. Sorry, witness P889. Car OTP 2122 8002. No one controls the Anti-Balaka of Boda. Not Mokom, not Ngaisona. And he also says, he speaks about Ngaisona, and he says that Ngaisona, when he saw the popularity of the Anti-Balaka, he jumped on them to try to get votes. And Ngaisona eventually created a political party. You saw that. It's in the evidence after Brazzaville, around September, October. What did Mokom do when Ngaisona created a political party? He split. He leaves. He wants nothing to do with politics. And you have that at P966. Mokom and many anti-Balaka won't accept, join, to play those political games. He'd rather split. And that's at P966 car OTP 2031 0241. In the same extract, it's at paragraph 100 to 104, they talk about Nairobi. Mokom goes to participate in peace talks in Nairobi towards the end of the year 2014. Mokom wants to go to Nairobi, but not in Ngaisona. P889 at car OTP 2122 7740 says this. The French, again, the French ambassador told Ngaisona that he would have problem if he dare participate in peace talks. Stay in Bangui if you don't want problems. Your Honors, at the beginning of the hearing, the substitute for the prosecutor said that the evidence is not tested. The evidence that is before you is not tested. It is tested. It is tested in the trial of Yekatom and Gaisona. It has been tested and shown to be unreliable. What a careful reading of these transcripts of those witnesses that gave statement reveal is that these finely tuned statements that the prosecutor has obtained in closed offices in Bangui, containing languages and words that the witnesses could not pronounce or understand themselves, are utterly different from the evidence that these witnesses offer when they came and they confront the people they are accusing and are facing judges. They just don't repeat it. The vast majority of the evidence we rely on is from those transcripts. And I based these submissions on 8 insider witnesses. You have their list. If you put some green on their names everywhere in the DCC, you may have that newspaper article remaining, which was denied by the author. So our submissions are that there is no evidence that support the involvement of Mr. Mokom in any of the crimes for which the prosecutor wants him to face a trial. And you should release him now, as fast as possible. He's, as you know, he's unjustly detained for the reasons that you know. He should already be out. He should be out permanently. And this is the thing to do, and I thank you for your attention. Tomorrow, my colleague Kate Gibson will continue.
Thank you very much, Maître La Rochelle. Now, I will then adjourn the hearing. We will resume tomorrow at 9:30, not before having thanked the parties, the participants, the interpreters, the court reporters, technicians, security officers, and representative of the registry. Yes, sir.
If you allow me, I would like to thank and apologize for the interpreters, also in the court reporters. I know I made their lives difficult today, and I apologize for that, and I thank you for their dedication and very professional work. Thank you for that.
Okay, then I thank everyone on behalf of the chamber, and the hearing is adjourned, and we will resume tomorrow morning at 9:30. Thank you very much.
All right, we will wait.